All right, hello everybody. We are doing a different sort of stream tonight. We're going to do some RPG design. Hopefully before we get too far into it, someone in chat will do the thing, tell me if the music's all right, if you can see the screen, all that good stuff. All right, so every year for Halloween, I run a one-shot for my friends, and it usually has a theme of horror and betrayal. And for the last couple of years, I've been running it in a sort of gothic horror steampunky setting. The issue is I've been running it in 5e or sort of a modified 5e, and it just barely works, right? I'm really pushing what 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons is capable of doing. So instead of fighting that, I decided we're going to rip off the band-aid and make a new RPG system. And if it works well, maybe I'll publish it, maybe I'll do a Kickstarter. We will see. Hey, Alexander, Zena, Caleb, what's up? TSL frontman, huzzah to you. So the idea is, yes, it's going to be this gothic horror steampunk-y RPG. I'm going to base it off of the Powered by the Apocalypse system. And if you know what that is, great, you'll appreciate this. And if you don't, buckle up. Powered by the Apocalypse is a sort of family of games. And each one is really sort of geared towards a specific genre. Like there is Dungeon World, which is playing in like a Dungeons & Dragons Fantasyland. There's also Apocalypse World, which is for playing in a post-apocalypse setting. Monster Hearts for teenage monster drama, all sorts of cool things. And so this is going to be a Powered by the Apocalypse type system, specifically for gothic horror steampunk. Oh, thank you, chat, for telling me that everything is great. So right off the bat, I'm going to go ahead and walk you through what I have so far. I've been working on this for maybe 2.5, 3 hours. And we'll see how far we go. So name, that's where you're going to put your character name. On the side you have 3 things: a playbook, a class. Playbook is sort of like your typical class. Class really means your economic class, whether you're a noble, a vagabond, something like that. And experience is pretty much what level you're, how far along you progressed. We have these stats right here: fitness, daring, ingenuity, vigor, and destiny. So one of the signatures of a Powered by the Apocalypse system is you really play around with these stats to sort of match your genre. Like I don't have wisdom, intelligence, strength, right? Only one of these will sort of relates to your body. The rest of these sort of help place you into the setting. Like romanticism is a big deal with gothic horror and steampunk. So daring and ingenuity and vigor sort of reinforce that theme. And destiny is sort of like luck. It's going to be our catch-all stat. It is a 2d6 system, and basically every time you sort of just play along, you sort of describe what your character does, and it happens in the fiction, unless you trigger a move. In which, if you trigger a move, you say your character does something that is very, very specific, then you roll 2d6, and something happens. So fitness would be like +1, daring be +1. So if you try to make a deduction, if you say, I'm going to look around this room and try to figure out what caused this pile of ash, you decide that your character is making a deduction, and then so you would roll ingenuity and add that bonus. And then based on what you score, things happen. So if you would score 15 plus, 3 of these little points down here would occur. If you score 7 to 9, only 1 of these little things occurs. So, you roll a 9, and you can just ask the GM, what is useful to note here? And the GM will tell you. And that's the result of you making that deduction. Or if you're describing your character looking around the room. Something like that. And so the other thing I have is romantic ideals. These are going to be like traits, bonds, and flaws, something about your character. And decide that whenever you trigger a move while acting in pursuit of that romantic ideal, like if you really believe in honor or something, and you decide to challenge somebody to a duel, you would make, you would roll for daring, but you would add an extra die. You'd roll 3d6 instead of 2d6. As a way to sort of encourage the players to play into the fiction, to play into the archetypes that we're trying to go after. Yeah, Forged in the Dark. That's also a Powered by the Apocalypse system. Blades in the Dark is it's kind of a Powered by the Apocalypse system, right? It's about running heists in a sort of Victorian city. Bonds are bonds. Okay. I said right here, a bond is your relationships and duties. Fulfilling a bond lets the affected character regain 1 vitality. So vitality is going to be sort of like your combined hit points, mental stamina, all that good stuff. But in fact, there are 4 different tracks of damage that your character will be able to occur. Vitality, which can be the sum of your fitness and your vigor. And that's the main sort of hit point, mental stamina equivalent. There's also wounds, which are more actively physical. And instead of an individual character having wounds, I decided that's going to be the sum for the entire party. Like the whole party has one big pool of wound hit points. And so the first time it's just getting brushed off, but like the 5th time the party gets a wound, that character's going to die. Something like that. Resources. So every time you're going to reach into your pocket and pull something out, or every time you try to leverage your connections, you are burning a resource. And then honor and infamy are going to be tracked separately. So these are our 4 sort of tracks, right? The 4 things that we're going to keep track of are hit points, mana, endurance, these 4 things. Hey, Phil, thank you for showing up. For the folks unaware, Phil there in chat is a constant streamer. He does all sorts of like art and design work. He posts a bunch of his stuff in my Discord. Thank you for stopping by, Phil. All right, so that's the basic framework. You describe what your character's doing. If you trigger a move, you do something specific in the fiction, you roll 2d6 and see how that resolves. So here are the moves that we have so far. Make a deduction, where you roll ingenuity. Act gallantly, right? You roll danger when you try to defy... You roll daring when you try to defy danger. So in other words, there's not like saving throws that you make, right? If you're trying to run through toxic gas, you would act gallantly. If you're trying to jump from an airship onto a train, you're acting gallantly. When you try to protect someone, you're acting gallantly, right? By the side, I'm going to switch the attributes here, right? Sometimes you roll daring when you're acting gallantly, and sometimes you're going to roll vigor. Because I wanted to set that precedent. I didn't want to say all the moves are going to be strictly tied to one ability. Right here in the basic moves, I wanted to sort of show how that can go. So this move up here, make a deduction, that we sort of talked about earlier. You score points, right? If you get 15, you score 3. If you get a great success, you score 3. A partial success, you score 1. And then you spend those points to do the things down here. Like, what happened recently? What is useful to note? What is missing? Other types of moves, based on your total score, specific things happen. Like if you're acting gallantly and you score a 10, you achieve what you set out to do. Oh, rewind real fast. I also decided that sometimes the moves are going to affect your tracks. So whenever you act gallantly, you automatically gain 1 honor. In contrast, when you hoodwink a character, triggering this move causes you to lose 1 honor. Perhaps call class status. That might, yeah, you know what, that might not be a bad idea. I like that. Let's write that right there. Status. Good idea. Thank you, Adam. Okay. So that was act gallantly. And so yeah, if you fail, you act gallantly, you just have, like, you lose 2 vitality or suffer 1 wound. It'd be your choice. And the cool thing about this is when the player does this, they have to describe how they fell short. You're giving the player the ability to narrate their failure. In fact, it is required as part of the game. We have hoodwink. You roll daring when you try to trick a character. And so here are the things that can happen, right? On a genius, score 2 and gain +1 forward. So the scores would be something like they believe the lie. You get that NPC to move to a different location. They reveal to you a secret. They tell others about your falsehood, or they give you something of value. Like you can con them out of something. And then you also get this thing up here called +1 forward. That means you get a +1 to your next roll. So next roll you make, you also get a +1 bonus if you score a genius. We have debate a point, which is, persuade, whatever. Persuade a character, attempt to rouse a crowd. And then on guard. This is the only combat move that I've written, right? All of the combat is condensed right into this one little move. You roll fitness if you're brawling, melee combat, or attack at range. So you can deal double damage and gain +1 forward. You deal your damage, but on a partial success, the most common one, you're going to deal your damage, but the opponent has the opportunity to strike back. Another thing about Powered by the Apocalypse games, they tend to be diceless for the GM. The GM doesn't roll dice. So to have the NPCs attack and have the NPCs deal damage, you weave it in to these moves. There we go. All right. And then we also have Invoke the Supernatural. I have one move right here that I've yet to work out. Let's go ahead and crack our knuckles and dive in. So work machinery. I want this to be a steampunk setting, so the ability to craft items, to invent things, to use mechanical devices is going to be really important. So we got to hard bake that into the rules. Okay, so let's go ahead. I think this is going to be a score type one, right? So we're going to copy this from up here and throw it down in this part. Or no. Well, you know what? Let's just see how this looks, okay? We will practice with this and see what goes on. Okay. On a failure, describe why your invention didn't work. Why the machine broke down. Oh, why the mechanics failed to say that. Then lose 1 vitality? I don't think so. I think you spend equipment, right? Or how about this? Yeah, triggering this move causes you to lose 1 resource. Because I'm imagining that this isn't just like working machine that's already working, right? This is trying to get one to work. Oh, okay. Maybe it's supposed to maybe use a mechanical device. I spelled that wrong. That's all right. When you try to get a machine working. Okay, there we go. Cause you to lose 1 resource. Okay. So describe why the mechanics failed, then lose 1 vitality. Is that a good one? Do you want them to lose vitality? I think so, because I think if a failure is sort of like a mental setback, I think that fits. On a tragic failure, okay, the mechanism backfires. Okay, we'll do that. Okay, the mechanism backfires. My keyboard's kind of sloppy. Sorry, folks. You're going to have to watch me look up and down. I really need a lighted keyboard. TSL Frontman says, have you given much thought towards including Blades in the Dark's retroactive mechanics or how it lends to player narration? So, I know what you're talking about. And I use that in D&D when I'm playing heist. Like, you make that intelligent stealth check. But I think that the reason they include that in Blades in the Dark is because that really fulfills the fantasy of a heist. And I'm not really sure if that's going to fit into this specific genre, right? I think the whole point of Gothic horror is the characters find themselves unprepared. Alright, so the mechanism backfires. Describe why the mechanism fails, then lose 1 vitality and suffer a wound. And 1 wound. Suffer 1 wound. Okay. So we got scored points. Okay, so what are some things are spent to make the machine do the following? You know what? I'm not really sure I want to actually do this way. Because then what I'm going to have to do is just make a list of things that machine can do. Like it can shoot lightning, it can go fast, it can spin. And I don't want to limit the characters. I'd rather have them describe their invention. And then maybe this can be like how well it works. You know what? Let's see how that works out, right? Okay. The machine goes faster than a normal word on its type. What else could happen? The machine lets you, lowercase machine, access an area, otherwise access an area you otherwise wouldn't be able to. Such as underwater, in a cave, in the air, etc. Okay. Maybe through a lock, through a door. Underwater, through a door. Okay. So maybe I need to make this not do 3. Maybe a machine can only do 2 things. Okay. What else would people be able to try to invent, right? The machine is repaired and functions better than normal, or continues to function. So the other way of doing this would be to, like, say on a genius, the machine is just the best of its type. And on a great success, the machine does what you expect it to do. I think I might do that instead. Okay, yep. Yep. Okay. Reverse that. I don't want to place limitations on what the players are going to be able to invent. Yep, we're going to go that way. Okay. The machine is okay, we'll figure out the geniuses in a second, right? This one, the machine works as intended. Or designed. As you intend. See, there we go. That's actually a very important change. Because if the machine works as intended, means that if the railroad car is only going to continue to work as a railroad car. The machine works as you intend, meaning that you modify the railroad car and to be able to fly. That is much more powerful and much more in the spirit of the game. Okay. So we can have, like, the GM offers you a worse outcome, a hard choice, or a price to be paid. There we go. Okay. The machine works kind of. See, I can't say kind of because that's sort of off genre. The machine mostly functions. But the GM will decide. Will offer a worse outcome, a hard choice, or a price to be paid. Maybe we can work this out a little bit. Okay, so a downside. Yeah. A worse outcome. Yeah. A downside of running it. Or an unexpected setback. Hazard. Oh, you know what? I like that. The machine has an unexpected hazard. A worse version. Yeah, worse outcome, that still works. A downside or an unexpected hazard. Okay. There we go. Okay. So, the machine works as you Mechanism failed, lose 1 vitality. The mechanism backfires. Describe why it failed. Then lose 1 vitality and suffer 1 wound. That works. Okay. The machine works better than you expect. Describe the additional boon. The additional function. And gain +1 forward. You know what? Better than forward. So I said that +1 forward means you get +1 to your next roll. +1 ongoing means that you get +1 to all of your rolls until the scene ends. So in this game, there's not going to be like encounters. There's going to be scenes, right? Each game, I'm imagining like each one shot's going to be played in like a series like 1, 2, 3 acts, maybe 5 or 7 scenes. Okay, cool. I think this works. Roll ingenuity and try to get a machine working or create an invention. Triggering this move causes you to lose 1 resource. Maybe instead of work machinery, I say tinker. Yeah. Tinker with machinery. There we go. There we go. Yeah, this works. This works. Okay. So, Bismillah says a pragmatic slocker? I'm sorry. I'm glad you appreciate my answer at TSL Frontman. I try to be thoughtful. But this is sort of the advantage of doing a stream where you guys are going to see, or you folks are going to see my thought process in action, right? And really what I'm trying to make here is just like a minimum viable thing, right? I'm trying to make a rule set that I can play with like 2 or 3 tables just to see how well it's going to work. And I think these are going to be all of our basic moves. Make a deduction, act gallantly, hoodwink, debate a point, on guard, tinker with machinery, and invoke the supernatural. I think that covers a lot of the stuff you're going to do in Gothic horror. Note that things that are not here are stuff like intimidate or sneak or pick locks. And the reason is that stuff will either just happen in the fiction or the GM is just going to describe why it doesn't work or what you're going to have to do to make it work. That's the whole idea of this. You're not constantly making checks. Everything is going to live in the like shared storytelling unless you trigger one of these very specific incidences. Okay. I also have these special moves, which are going to happen like every once in a while, right? Trust Providence, when you do something like truly ridiculous, when you sort of give your life up to fate, you trigger this move. Wield Reputation, when you try to move an institution to act, like you're talking to like a royal house or a guild or, you know, a corporation, right? Like a railroad tycoon's business. You roll Honor Infamy. That's what that stat is used for. When you're trying to get not just one person, but an entire organization to do something. That's what Honor Infamy is for. And then Grand Voyage. Right now it just says Grand Voyage. But we put a un there. Now we have un Grand Voyage. When you set off on a journey to a new location. I'm not really sure what I want to do with this. Maybe on most... And the reason I put these in special moves is they don't follow the normal rules, right? This one, Trust Providence, only has 2 results. It's either a genius or a tragic failure. Real Reputation gives you a bonus and penalty that applies between adventures. And then Un Grand Voyage is when you're like moving locations. So I think we'll keep this and we'll just sort of shift it down. Do I want to work on Grand Voyage right now? Yeah, you know what? Why not, right? Genius. Your journey leads you to an unexpected treasure. Leads to unexpected pleasure and knowledge. Gain 1 + 1 forward. Yeah, the entire party. You know what? We're gonna call them a party, the entire company, the entire band. You know what? Just say just party for right now. Gains +1 forward. Okay. And then on a tragic failure, everything else is just a success. On a success is going to be from 3 to 14. You arrive at your destination without incident. Okay. Indecent. Nope, we're going to leave that right there, chat. It's going to be forever you leave indecent. All right. And then on a tragic failure, the ship sinks. Your train is robbed. Or some other I don't know, peril befalls you. The entire party, yeah, let's do that. The entire party has to suffer. Loses 2 tracks, right? Suffers losses to 3 tracks. Losses to 2 tracks. Cool. Just to spice things up a little bit, right? Okay, cool. That's good enough. So here are the playbooks. I only have one so far. And it is... So here are the classes that I'm going to write. Or maybe, we'll see. A psionic, an artificer, a pugilist, a vagabond, a viscount, an alienist, a professor, and an inspector. And the one that I already have written is the vicar, which is like a, a priest. I think because you're playing in fantasy, or not fantasy, because RPGs only exist in our imagination, the language that you choose is really, really important, right? Calling a cleric does not invoke the same feeling as calling somebody a vicar, right? This is like Victorian England. That's what we're trying to get people to get sucked into that idea. So language is super important. All right. The vicar, I had middling class and 4 resources. And then also each class has a unique way of how they're going to restore their vitality. So the vicar is going to get all their vitality restored by successfully trusting Providence or by holding back the powers of darkness. So this one is like coded in the rules, right? We have up here, trust Providence, one of those special moves. Right, so when they succeed on this, they'll restore all their vitality. But this one is a little bit more abstract. There's no move triggered called holding back the powers of darkness. This is just, did you do the thing? Did you protect the innocent? Did you banish the devil? Something like that. When you succeed in that type of mission, that sort of task, the vicar restores their vitality. I also gave them 2 learnings. There's no religion skill. There's no knowledge skill. So I had to get some ways for the players to gain information. And so I decided that's going to be wired into the classes. And I gave these 2 little features. This is a passive one. They get a bonus to vigor when they're trying to invoke the supernatural, and bonus to destiny when they're trying to trust Providence. And they also have their own special move. When the vicar decides to humble themselves in prayer, they roll vigor and attempt to call Providence to intercede on their behalf. They can do stuff like what you'd expect a cleric to do, right? Recover wounds, let another character regain 1 vitality, detect the presence of the occult, drive away a creature of the night, turn undead. Consecrate an area to the unknown god, or cure an ailment, blindness, deafness, whatever. So let's go ahead and maybe bust into another one real fast. Let's do the pugilist. That seems pretty straightforward. Okay. Just gonna go ahead and copy this and throw it down here. Go ahead and make our pugilist. Okay, pugilist, middling class. I don't think so, right? If you're a boxer, you're definitely lower class. Like, respectable swords didn't find themselves in bare-knuckle brawls. So maybe they only have 2 resources. Okay. They restore vitality by successfully winning a brawl, right? Or what's something else the pugilist would do? I don't know. Performing a feat of strength? Maybe they have a third one, or by pleasing a crowd. That's a good one. There we go. There we go. I'm to put successfully winning a brawl. Just winning a brawl is enough. Cool. Sorry about that, chat. Probably should have muted the mic. Barley functions. You know what, Matthew Autodidactyl? That's what all these machines are farming equipment. Additional min-operation repairs must be made. That's a great one. This is why I should look back and pay attention to chat. Sorry. I sort of get into it sometimes. A worse outcome, a downside. You know, that could be a downside right there. You know what? A downside, additional repairs, maintenance, or an unexpected hazard. Requirements. You know what? I don't even need the word downside, right? All right, cool. That works. I like that. All right, scrolling back down to our pugilist. Their learnings, they're going to be streetwise. Maybe medicine, right? That kind of makes sense. You know what? I'm going to leave it in there. If I want to change it later, no big deal. All right. So their playbook move. So do I want to keep this theme of having one passive and then one active? Yeah, why not? Let's see what happens. Okay. So what do pugilists? All right. Thank you, Benjamin Huffman. Moxie, right? You have a +2 bonus to rolling vigor. When being watched by other people. Not being watched by others when you're in the limelight. When you are in the limelight. No, I can't use limelight. Can I use limelight? No, limelight isn't Victorian. I can't say spotlight when you are the attention. We'll leave that for right now. To vigor or daring. I like that. I like that. Okay. Move, fisticuffs. So this will maybe be like a special version of brawling. You know, maybe they can have 3 moves, right? All right, fisticuffs. We'll make that heading 3. What happened? Oh no, I lost my heading 3. Can be heading 4. How about the heading 3? Okay. So what's fisticuffs do? Whenever you... Hey, Silly Syrup, what's up? I am making a gothic horror steampunk RPG. You have stats that sort of fill you in: fitness, daring, ingenuity, vigor, and destiny. You trigger moves and you roll 2d6 and the result tells you what happens. There's only one combat roll, and sometimes you can invoke the supernatural to act as a conduit for providence, or when you're trying to harness eldritch powers. Right now we are working on a pugilist class. So fisticuffs is whenever you... Yeah, right? Whenever you trigger on guard... Yeah, whenever you trigger on guard... by brawling... you always deal double damage. You know what? No, you can always roll a third dice. Oh, that's sick. Yeah. Let's make a Moxie have a double-edged sword right there, right? Any move that is not successful. That's not a success. Causes you to lose 1 vitality. 1 additional vitality. Well, there we go, right? See, I like this right here. It's sort of a double-edged sword. You get this bonus, but if you fail, it causes you to hurt, which is very, very fitting to the theme, right? The sort of arrogant, egotistical pugilist character. All right, cool. And do they need a playbook move? I don't think so. An active during do? Go the distance? You know what? That's not a bad one. No. That's not a bad idea. It's a bad name. I know what you're getting at. It's a bad name because it makes people think of Rocky. And Rocky is not set in Victorian London, right? Do we really need anything else? Is that enough? Maybe that's enough. Okay. You know what? No, compared to the Vicar, right? The Vicar's got a lot of great stuff. So maybe he does need a move. What would it be, though? I want to say it's like perform or challenge. Oh, there we go. There we go. So what stat would that be? Fitness daring. It's going to be daring. When you challenge... when you call out an opponent. Maybe an opponent's not the right word. When you call out an opponent... Yeah, I like that, right? Okay. But what would they do, right? So, let's think about this. Maybe they can become afraid? I like that, right? Tempting them to engage, to face you. Tempting to get them to face you. Head on. Okay. I like that's because it's vague enough. It doesn't say it has to be, doesn't have to be like in a fight. It could be any sort of situation, right? Calling someone out of a castle to come talk to you in the street. Okay. Maybe an opponent's not the right word there. Call out another character. I'll just leave that right there, right? You know what? This is... I'm going to leave this blank for right now. Right? We'll come back to this. Because there's something else I want to touch them. You could easily transpose into a brawling minigame, like Fable style. Yeah, probably. Like, I'm not too sure how much I want combat to feature prominently. I'm thinking this is going to be more horror, mystery, like role-playing, right? This is a storytelling device, not necessarily a combat emulator. That's what I'm trying to go for. Okay, what I also want to do real fast before I forget is these are the player moves, right? But I also want to create GM moves. And what I mean by that is I want there to be a list of things that the game master can do when certain things happen in the fiction, right? Like the players have, when the players describe what their characters are doing, that can sometimes trigger one of the basic moves. But I also want when things happen in the fiction, the GM can respond. Right? So we can say triggers. Okay. What are some things that the characters can do that would cause this, right? Obviously, right, when they fail a move. When things get slow. When a character loses their cool. Their nerve, let's say that. They present an opening. Think about that, right? Something like that. Okay. And what sort of moves can the GM make? Okay. So the obvious one is inflict harm. Right? This is a character you cause a character to lose, to suffer losses to a track. But that's not very interesting. Let's just think of a more interesting one, right? So maybe you turn their move back on them. Okay. You reverse the intentions of their move. Maybe I can just think of something. Let's write down some examples. Just something on the paper, right? Like, if they're trying to hoodwink a character. The party is tricked. Reed learns they are tricked. Been hoodwinked. A machine fails. Working. They lose otherworldly power. Their connection. Something like that, right? So sort of like the opposite of their moves are coming to bear against the party now. Another one here, I just thought about this, right? The environment shifts, right? Shifts. So, right, the storm grows fierce. Fierce. The fog rolls in. Clouds cover the moon. Cover the moon. Okay. Something. So right now, I'm not worried about writing like great prose. I'm just trying to get something on the page to collect my thoughts. Something to move the characters to action. Something that disrupts the character's current plans, right? Actually, that could be a whole move on its own, right? Disrupt their plans. Okay. Okay. A piece was missing. A key ally disappears. Or something, right? Oh, here's another one we can add in here. The creatures of the night roll in, right? A creature of the night. A threat appears. Or warnings of a threat. Okay. The characters hear a howl of a wolf. So the idea of these GM moves, right, is to keep the action moving forward, right? Whenever there's a failure point, whenever something the character's attempted to do doesn't work out, we want the GM to have a whole bucket of things at their disposal to keep the game moving forward. And that way seems sort of like a back and forth play, because the GM's never rolling dice. These are the things that they can choose to do. Okay. What might be some other, a dark truth. There we go. Reveal the dark truth. The dark truth. Okay. Their ally betrays them. Maybe dark is not the right word. Unpleasant. Maybe that's not even a strong enough word, though. An ally betrays them. Their inheritance It's false. Something like that. Okay. Inflict harm, turn moves on them, environment shifts, disrupt their plans, a warning or threat, reveal an unpleasant truth. That's pretty good, right? So maybe I should put GM moves. Alright, hold on. We're going to go ahead and make this into heading 1. And we'll call this moves. So you have basic moves, special moves, playbooks, and GM moves. Let's move this up. Okay. Right there, awesome. Where's bullet points? You know what? I don't really care right now. This is looking pretty good. I'm feeling pretty good about this. All right. You know what? I'm gonna try to round out this pugilist, and I think I might be able to call it a night. I think this was some good progress. All right. The pugilist, the playbook moves challenge. Attempting to get them to face you head on. Hey, Forest for Trees. Welcome aboard. A shopkeeper betraying them might hit an unnerving spot, but it might still seem totally unfair. It might be cool to incorporate some Lovecraftian elements. Yes, I am definitely planning to do that. I got an alienist class, and one of the moves has harness the Eldritch as one of the things on it. Yeah, invoke the supernatural. You roll daring when you try to harness Eldritch powers. Okay, we try to get an opponent to challenge you head on. So I think we're going to do it this similar style. We don't gain points, but just something happens. Okay. You know what? Yeah, I think everyone should have at least one playbook move, right? Okay. Okay. On a genius. They come out. They come to face you, but are shaken. Shaken and humbled. Shaken or humbled. On great success, they just come out and face you. Huh. We need to think this through a little bit, right? Maybe... What good would that do? Right? Like... They come out in the manner you request. Yeah, you know what? It's okay. This is the special thing this one character can do. They can just shot up into the castle and say, you know, come out, you coward. And they will come out. That's cool, right? Maybe. They come out to face you, but with backup. A trick up their sleeve. or goodness, there we go, or something else, right? Other unfair advantage, unsportly. Oh, there we go. Okay. Unsporting advantage. Okay, cool. They ignore you. They ignore you. They ignore you and you lose 1 honor. You know what, that's not quite enough. Describe or explain why they ignore you. We want to give them the power to do that. We want to give the players the ability to own their failure, own the character's failure. Then you lose 1 honor. Cool. All right, you know what? Yeah, this is a pretty cool thing. You got 3 features. You got your Moxie, which is sort of like a double-edged sword. You got the Fisticuffs, which makes you the best at boxing, which is exactly what the Poodle should do. And you have this cool move where you can challenge somebody and get them to come out and face you. Awesome. Yeah, we got a rough sketch of what our GM moves are going to look like. And we got our Grand Voyage. We got our Think with Machinery done. Yeah, overall, I would say this is a very successful stream. And I think that's where we're going to wrap it up. Chat, thank you so much for hanging out with me this time. I really appreciate it. If you want to follow along with this design development process, sign up in my Discord. I'm also probably going to be doing a live play test of this system, and the announcements for that are going to be in my Discord too. So that's where all the action's happening. If you have some thoughts on this whole process, I would love to hear them. So be sure to let me know in the comments below. See ya.